Do you want to know what some people are mad about online? Because AEW Collision aired on Friday this week, but we had the intro song of Elton John's Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting, people were getting upset going, it's not even the right day. So I swear, man, some people are just Oh, so hello, my friends, my wonderful buddies, and welcome to the second ups and downs of the day. I'm going to stop talking about this because I talk about it too much. I just cannot believe how much wrestling there is on TV. And there was a time when it was kind of going the other way, and now it's back with a vengeance, and it's kicking my ass. But it's a good ass that I enjoyed. Shut up. Let's just up those downs. We were going Monday Night Raw to kick off Collision this week too, because out came Christian Cage for a big old promo. He was with his sons as Tony Schiavone was doing the interviewing, and Christian was like, look, we do have this big match at Full Gear, and if you're a Sting fan, well, you better tune in, because he ain't going to retire next year. I'm going to finish him off in about 24 hours. This is all going to be okay too, because if Darby Allin does need some advice after this, he can be that guy. I was like, man, Mr. Cage, you're so good. He also promised to murder Ric Flair, so that's a +1 on the crime counter straight away, when he reiterated that he is damn sure the only reason Adam Copeland has turned up in AEW is because he wants to steal the spotlight. This is why Beth Phoenix, his wife, and his kids just have to watch the pay-per-view, because Christian is going to re-break his neck. So the crime counter comes back again. You can't say that. He then shouted out James Harden because much like him, he doesn't work in the system, he is the system. And I'm just going to say this. I think Christian Cage is probably the best heel in all of wrestling right now because he has no redeeming features, which amazingly, in this crazy universe, becomes a redeeming feature all of its own. So I'm definitely going to give him up, and I do love him. I want him to be my dad. What? Ricky Starks and Big Bill were then backstage, and they've been making a lot of noise. This was like Twitter. It worked. Because Starks and Bill's biggest issue is, wait a minute, we're in a 4-way tag team, meaning we could lose our titles without even getting pinned. So Tony Khan has promised that we can pick the stipulation to make it a bit fairer. So we are choosing a ladder match. It's like, you two are insane. Now I do admit that I think wrestling should probably leave that stipulation alone for a little bit. But again, just go through who is in that contest and I will put my hair on the line. If this is not good, I will shave it all off. Could even steal the show. Now Ricky did try and tie this in, because he's like, look at Big Bill. He's so Bill, he can probably just reach up and grab the title without using the ladder. And I was like, Starks, there's no way that is true. When we got a very interesting match, Daniel Garcia versus Miro. Now this was like watching my two lovers fight, which I massively regret saying, but both of these guys needed wins, so we were gonna have to come up with something creative. By Jove, I think we did it. Now, Miro made sure he used strength +10 to begin all of this, because he is such a beast, when Daniel Garcia came back with all of these strikes. He then got absolutely leveled with this tilt-a-whirl slam. I tell you, that was a thing of beauty. Dan then went after the knee, because he was like, well, wait, you are a bit of a monster, so if I chop you down, you won't be as scary. When he went for the big knee, Miro just super kicked him right in the face. I called John Travolta. Garcia was still able to escape the game over submission, which is when he decided, oh my gosh, I'm feeling it in my hips. I'm gonna have to do that dance. When Matt Menard ran down, he was like, no, you're not allowed to do that jiggling wiggling. So of course everybody got mad. Now this is headed somewhere, I just don't know where. Danny was still on top though, because he started applying all of his submissions, which is his thing, when he locked in the Dragon Tamer, and I tell you, he went totally crazy here, and he was leaning back like I'm doing now, but that actually turned out to be his undoing. He's done this before, because Miro's like, well, now I can grab your head. And he just slammed it into the mat over and over again. So, man, this is getting pretty brutal. It also basically knocked Garcia out, so Miro was able to apply the game over, and the ref was like, well, this guy ain't moving, so I have to call it. I was like, man, that was the way to do it, because Miro, he comes across like a killer, and if we keep featuring Danny Garcia and moving him up the rungs, I tell you, he's gonna be a megastar. This dude totally gets it. Up. To tie in, we also went backstage where we saw CJ Perry with her brand new client Andrade. Mr. Tranquilo was just so damn happy. Clearly they don't talk though, because Perry then announced that he is going to be in the Continental Classic. I was like, wait a minute, we didn't have a conversation about this. But when they did some whispering, Andrade was like, woohoo, I'm going to be in this tournament. And we had such a good announcement later on as well. There is going to be no outside interference, and everybody is banned in those matches. So give me a winner, and give me a loser, and surprise me. Trust me. All the wrestlers in AEW are good enough, they'll be totally fine. When we had to remind everybody that Malachi Black and Brody King as a tag team are absolutely flubbing brilliant. They were facing the boys and maybe literally killed them, because after they'd thrown them around, which meant we got lots of, which always makes me chuckle, they hit Dante's Inferno And they just beat him. I mean, this was essentially a squash. But it did work because, of course, we need to sell every tag team going into that now ladder match to make you think, well, maybe, just maybe, they're going to win. Really, though, you don't have to do that with the Kings of the Black Throne, or whatever they're called, because they are so badass, they could do whatever they wanted to me. No, it's not. Damn it, we did it again. We then started to big up our TBS title match, which is going down at the pay-per-view, because we had Kris Statlander, Sky Blue, and Julia Hart all doing their promos. And of course, one of them is a liar, because they all said they were going to win. Now, I really do hope this ends with Sky Blue becoming the champion, and she goes bad guy, and then she can be Sky Yellow or something. I mean, yellow can be a bad guy color. Why not? Well, for some reason, we had a #1 TNT title contender match between Penta, Kommander, Trent, and Brian Cage. You tell me. Now, I am going to be a massive nerd here, and we also talked about this on SmackDown Ups and Downs, but how did anybody qualify for this? Especially Brian Cage, Penta, and Kommander. In the last 7 days, they've just lost. I really don't mind the randomness, but because I'm such a big fan of all of these individuals, if you gave me some kind of a story where they were just kicking ass, well, it would have made this feel even better. That's part of getting it down. But I tell you, you should still go and watch this match. It is absolutely faboo. The winner was also going to go on to face Christian Cage on Rampage in about an hour, so that was interesting. Much like the Miro match, Brian Cage flexed. He was like, oh my gosh, I'm massive. He just ran through these idiots. He is, ironically, like a machine. Penta and Kommander with a K were able to come back with some dives, where Trent was like, well, you know what, I am a professional wrestler, and he started doing some suplex. We had found the balance. Cage then saw Kommander running the ropes, so he just shook them, so he did fall down. Like somebody should have done that weeks ago, when once again, he just grabbed all these guys and he threw them around like they were kids. Of course, as always, don't throw kids around. The masked men then had to work together to take him down when Trent saw his opportunity and he hit all the German suplexes. Die hat das gemacht. When Brian killed him with this lariat. Like, I even rang up a doctor and I was like, how did his head stay on? The doc was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I sent him the clip. He's like, damn it, you're right. Penta then did his taunt, which gives him +10 speed when he hit a Made in Japan for a very close 1-2. When he decided to use Kommander as a step or a platform, I don't know. But he jumped off his back and he did this crazy dive. He took up Brian on the outside. Kommander then decided, well, I'm going to do my rope walk shooting star press, but Trent had plenty of time to recover. He got out of the way, he hit the strong zero, and he got the 3. Now, of course, we got to Rampage, he lost to Christian, so we're kind of done with this, so it doesn't really matter, but let's just focus on what this was. It definitely gets an up. These are some talented fools. Then made sure we replayed that clip from Dynamite where Powerhouse Will Hobbs had absolutely destroyed Paul White. When we cut to him and Don Callis, my word, this Hobbs is amazing. Because he talked about the fact that he had slayed a giant and he's just big, blacked and jacked. But the way he said this, I was like, oh my gosh, I think he could absolutely murder everybody here. And it's all because we've gone no nonsense with him. So I've said it before, I'll say it again. In 2024, we need to pick a championship for him to have, and he should hold it for ages. Because again, look at him. He's absolutely terrifying. He's also gonna fly, as did Evan Daniels. But sadly, he flew up to the sky before he got whammed into the floor. Because Wardlow was here for squash match #2 and he just did his powerbomb thing when the referee looked at this guy and was like, yeah, I don't think he's gonna get up, bro. You may as well leave. So Wardlow did. Now this is still very effective because of course Ward now has a new personality, but I think before he gets to MJF, he should be put into a feud with someone that has a mega name and he should do this to them. Everybody's eyebrows will go up and they'll be like, oh my gosh, how did he do it? This whole new presentation is good though. We just need to justify it a little bit more. But again, we're heading in the right direction. Up. When we just had a hell of a fight. My word. Through was Dax Harwood versus Roosh, and these two. I mean, Roosh is just on a different level altogether. And when it comes to Dax, we do not sing his praises enough, because we know he's all time when it comes to the tag team leagues. But nowadays, he has singles matches, and every single one of these, well, it's a banger too. Big Bill and Ricky Starks were also on commentary as they were like, man, these two are a couple of idiots when we got the shoulder tackles and the forearms, when they teased a powerbomb on the floor. Let me repeat that. A powerbomb on the floor. And everyone just kind of shrugs emojis to these moves these days. And look, it did get reversed into a back body drop, but talk about escalation, we need to bring things back down to earth. As Roos was able to get out of this, he then threw Harwood into Barry Barricade when we got this. If you're thinking chop battle and not just people giving a round of applause, you're 100% correct. Roos then followed up with the Three Amigos for the 1-2-oo, where Dax was like, well, anything you can do, I can do better. And he started to do all the German suplexes. This is when my butt got nice and comfy. I was like, I'm having a good time. Roosh then made sure Dax's penis fell into the top rope, so we also got a superplex, when they quite literally ran into each other when Roosh just dumped Harwood right on his head. This is what I was doing. Like I'm their dad, just like, oh my gosh. It really was fantastic though, because then all of a sudden Dax hit a pile driver from nowhere for another 1-2 ooh. And Roosh was so obsessed with using all of our ringside friends to throw Harwood into them, that eventually he was staring at Ricky Starks and Ricky Starks was staring at him, when Roosh went, oh, and he spat at him. It's like, what do you know? Out of nowhere disgustingness. He was then able to set up for the bull horns because he was about to get the win when Ricky Starks appeared from nowhere and he gave him the spear as Big Bill attacked Dax. Now the way this was sold was like, oh my gosh, these attacks happened simultaneously, so it's a no contest. No, it wasn't. Roosh definitely won by DQ. Rick attacked him ages before. It does work for this tag team title match though, because we are planting those seeds, and this is when every single person in that contest came out. And of course, Brody King stared at Big Bill, and Big Bill scared at Brody King because they're both really big. And they just went and got a ladder. Chaos. It took security coming down to stop all of this, but as we know, wrestling security does suck, especially the bald ones. But once again, let's just go back to what we've already talked about. They cannot have this be bad. It's not in their DNA. I'm actually quite excited. Action Andretti was then trying to give us an update about Darius Martin, who had been hurt last week, when the Kingdom and Roderick Strong walked in and basically looked at Action and went, you know what, we'd like to hurt you, so we're gonna have a match on Rampage. Like, well, okay, there we go, next round. Before that though, it was Buddy Murphy versus Wheeler Yuta, and let me just riddle you this. Who does better in-ring action than AEW? I mean, Yuta began by dropping Matthews with a drop kick, obviously. When Buddy decided, well, no, I didn't appreciate that, so he hurled him into Barry Barricade over and over again. And I was like, man, what are we doing? This keeps happening on this show. I mean, you wouldn't use your dead granddad in a coffin as a weapon, would you? I've gone too far. We also used Alan the announce table, so I was crying, and I think Wills agreed with me here, because he hit Buddy with a forearm so hard, I kinda died. I swear Buddy was mad for real, because he then absolutely destroyed Wheeler's face with this big knee, when we got more German suplexes. I was like, man, that must be another sponsor. They're everywhere, the gates. I swear that Buddy Matthews just wanted to create carnage though, because he grabbed Wheeler here, and he was just throwing him into Tina the Turnbuckle, he was throwing him into the ring post, and I was like, man, if we involved Timmy the Timekeeper's table, that's a full house. Somehow Wheeler Yuta was still able to fight his way back into this when he went for the big stomp, because he is part of the BCC. But Matthews was like, well, no, I don't want you to hurt my face. So he gave him this crazy powerbomb from the corner, stomped his head into the mat, and he got the 1-2-3. But I tell you this, nobody lost here. It was just too damn good. But he was also going to finish this guy with a chair afterwards when Claudio Castagnoli made the save. And he had a great line. He was like, listen, Matthews, why don't you stop hiding in your spooky room? 10 out of 10. He also challenged him to a match at Full Gear, was all like, unless you have to ask Malachi Black for permission first. That does mean, later on today, we're getting Claudio Castagnoli versus Buddy Matthews. When you go through that Full Gear card, it is absolutely ridiculous. We also then got our promos for Orange Cassidy and John Moxley to build up their international title match, which is also going to Raw, when for some reason, it was Shida and Kris Statlander taking on the Outcasts. I am sorry, Miss Jackson. Now this really was more of an angle than a match, because I do believe the Outcasts aren't long for this world. And for a good 5 minutes, it was just Shida and Statlander absolutely whipping their ass. I mean, Shida flattened Ruby Soho when Statlander tagged in and just dropped the leg, which is when Saraya got in there, but she was mugged off too. Julia Hart and Sky Blue were also watching on for obvious reasons when Shida hit the 10 punches in the corner. That was an absolutely terrible idea because it did not go well. Because Ruby just threw her to the floor, which is when Angelo Parker came out. And if you have been watching all of your AEW TV, something is going on between these two. I think they may be in love. He still allowed the Outcast to have some control, but once again this didn't last long because Kris Statlander got the hot tag and she just ran over everyone. I mean, she was only stopped because Soho used Barry Barricade. That's when I got upset once again. But given they were on the outside and Angelo Parker was like, Ruby Soho, are you okay? Statlander went to get Ruby, maybe, or maybe she didn't, but she took out Angelo Parker instead. So now Ruby was like, oh no, my boy. Now this juncture, Saraya was doing quite well, but she needed a tag. But given that her partner was taking care of her would-be boyfriend, I suppose, she was totally done. And she got hit with a Statlander lariat and she got hit with a katana. 1, 2, 3. So again, now when she meets up with Soho later, she can be like, listen man, it's either me or him, Then we could all go rom-com. I do like the fact we did involve the story in here though, because we've already talked about it, but once again, it was a little bit strange. It did its job. Which meant we had a really interesting end to Collision, because we had a sat-down interview with MJF. Now, Tony Schiavone was asking the questions here, and he was all like, why do you want to defend your Ring of Honor tag team titles by yourself? Of course, Max was like, I made a promise, man. I made a promise to Adam Cole, and when he does return, I said we'd still have these titles, so whatever it takes. He also admitted that Jay White is a threat because as far as he sees it, it's all the bad parts of MJF in one person. But that doesn't matter either, because come Saturday night, not only will he physically retrieve his title, but he will walk out of it on his shoulder too. Now amazingly, the end of this angle actually happened on Rampage, we'll just have to jump to then, because we got part 2 of this interview on that show, which is when of course Bullet Club Gold ran in there, and they started to whoop the crap out of Max. Just when they were going to finish him off though in the ring, because they brought out there, Samoa Joe made the save. And the best part about all of this is the Guns and Jay White, they all ran off. They're like, I don't want to mess with Joe. Damn right. So it really is like the Samoan one is some sort of mythical beast, and MJF and him did shake hands. So when we get to the pre-show at Full Gear, he is going to team up with MJF to take on the Guns, which also means probably at the end of the year, we're going to get that world title rematch. And I tell you this, if we do decide to pull the trigger on Samoa Joe, I don't think that would be a bad idea at all. Like, I know he's in the twilight of his career, but he is just so damn good, and he carries this aura. I think he would do a great job in that role, so I am giving it an up. Mostly out of intrigue, because MJF now has 2 matches on the pay-per-view. What the flub is going to happen? Which brought us to the end of AEW Collision, and it really is a show you need to watch with Rampage, but when you push them together, it does get an up, because here I stand, mere hours away from that pay-per-view, and I am damn excited. Also, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com to keep up with all the latest breaking news, and follow us on social media. And again, enjoy Full Gear later. I think we're going to have a very, very good time. I'll be back tomorrow to up those ups and downs. That's gibberish that came up my mouth. I've been filming for about 3 hours now. Somebody save me. Chris Jericho, goodbye.